Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I walked this whole field this morning. It's not okay, so I will have to reseed it, but it's not bad. Like right now, the major weed that I have growing in is a crabgrass. These cattle, they will eat crabgrass. It's just like it's not a big issue, right? It's not like I'm growing a mare's tail or twigweed. The crabgrass is an edible weed, and these cattle, they will walk around and they will eat it. They'll eat it like any other grass, so it's not that big of a deal. I do have a lot of crabgrass out there right now. I have a bit of winter wheat coming in, but I will have to drill it. That's one thing that I've realized about this winter wheat, is that it doesn't do well when it's broadcasted. If I were going to broadcast a grass seed again, a winter annual, I would just broadcast a ryegrass. Winter wheat, it just kind of sits there on the soil. It don't really germinate. Ryegrass, it does real well if you just throw it on top of the soil. If you broadcast it on top of the soil, it'll start growing in real rapidly. But winter wheat, it don't really do that well. It needs to be drilled. So that's also one thing to consider, is that ryegrass, the amount of labor that it takes to grow ryegrass is very small. I can grow ryegrass with very minimal equipment, and I can do it very rapidly. But winter wheat, I'm pretty sure it has to be drilled. If it ain't drilled, or I guess you can also maybe like disc plow it or something. Once you put it on top of the soil, maybe you can disc plow it or something. You can disc it into the soil, but it needs to get into the soil. It won't grow when it's broadcasted, or cultipack it or something. You got to do something to push it into the soil, or it won't really grow. That's what I think right now. I told myself, okay, so I got about 2 weeks, because right now the money's not what I'm worried about, right? Even if I had to, if I planted this whole field, it would take me about $200, right? So the money's not what I'm really worried about. Do I want to go and do I want to reseed the field 5 times? No, that's not something I want to do. But if I had to, I could do it. It ain't a big deal. But my big thing right now is that I'm kind of running out of time. I really only have until about the 3rd week of October, so I really only got about a month to get my grass situated, or the soil may turn too cold to germinate seed on properly. And so I really have to get this grass growing, because once it gets too cold, if the soil gets too cold, the grass won't germinate on it. And so right now the money's not the problem, but I need to get the grass growing. So I need to really because right now, okay, so when I look at my weather, next week my weather's going to about 85 in the afternoon, 80 in the afternoon, and then it's dipping to about a 55, 60 in the evening. And so in those weather conditions, if I plant grass and it gets rained on, that grass should start to grow within 5 days. If it doesn't grow within 5 days, it's not growing. And so right now my big plan is that I'm going to drill this field with winter wheat tomorrow, because it's supposed to rain on Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's a good chance of rain. It's like a 78% chance of rain or something like that, 75% chance of rain. So I'm going to drill this field with winter wheat. I'm going to give it 5 days, and if it does not grow in, I'm just going to go to I'm just going to broadcast ryegrass on it. If I can't get winter wheat to grow on this field, I'm just going straight to ryegrass. I'm just going to broadcast the ryegrass on it and call it a day. But whatever I'm going to do, I need to do it very quickly at this point. I need to do it rapidly. And if there's something wrong, I need to do it again. I'm not just going to sit here and look at an empty field, right? If something is wrong, I need to do it again. And so, right now something is wrong. The winter wheat, I broadcasted it. It did not grow in. I didn't cultipack it or anything. Maybe I should have cultipacked it or disc plowed it or ran a drag over it or something, but it just did not grow in very well. I have a lot of crabgrass going in right now, so I'm not really worried about having to plow my soil. I was taking a look at my soil this morning, because I was like, if anything, I'm going to need to plow it. Because if I go over this field and I spray herbicide on this field, or if I apply herbicide on this field, I won't be able to plant grass seed for at least probably a week or so. I mean, depending on what herbicide I use and stuff like that, it could be up to 20 days. And so it could be up to 3 weeks. But I won't be able to plant grass in 2 days. Long story short, it's supposed to rain on Tuesday, and the weather conditions are supposed to be spot on perfect for germinating winter annual seeds. And so I need my field germinating here in about 2 or 3 days. If it's not germinating, I need to pick up the pace and I need to do something else because I need to get this grass growing. I got rain coming in on Wednesday and the weather conditions are going to be good. My winter annuals right now is not looking good. The winter wheat that I planted is not good. But if I drill this winter wheat and it doesn't turn out very well, there could be some other issue, right? There could be a soil pH issue. I don't know exactly what the issue could be, but there could be some other issue with with my field that is causing the winter wheat to not grow. And so I am going to drill it one time, and I'm going to drill it, and then afterwards, if it does not come in, even after I've drilled it, if the winter wheat does not come in, I'm just going to go over it and I'm going to broadcast ryegrass. Because right now I do have a couple of broadleaf annual weeds coming in, and so I am able to go over, and I have plenty of crabgrass going in right now too. And so I'm able to walk over my field and I'm able to look at the plant material and diagnose nutrient deficiencies. As of right now, I do have enough plant material to do that. So I walked over my field and I diagnosed my plant nutrient deficiencies, and the fertilizer that I put on this field was very accurate and it was properly dosed. My plants are growing in with zero signs of nutrient deficiencies evenly across the entire field. I did a very good job on applying the fertilizer. I did very well. I diagnosed my I set the application rate and I spread the fertilizer out on the field very properly. There was nothing on my field, on any corner of my field, growing in with any signs of nutrient deficiency at all. And so right now it's real good. But if I leave my field bare like this, and I have a field that has very proper, very good levels of nutrient levels, if I have very good mineral levels on this field, what will happen is that the weeds will start growing in. And when the weeds start growing in, and if there's proper levels of minerals in the field, they'll start growing in very quickly. And they will start growing in like a real thick and real quickly. And so I want to get this field covered with a grass seed that I'm looking to grow very quickly. I want to get that done as rapidly as possible. And here in about October, after about October, I won't have any time to plant any different grass, just because it'll be too cold. And so I need to pick up the pace. I need to get something growing on this field. If I have a worst case scenario, I will have to go over this field and put a ryegrass on it instead of a winter wheat, because I know that ryegrass grows on my field and it grows very well, and I can just broadcast it. And if I broadcasted ryegrass over my field last year, I broadcasted ryegrass at 60 pounds an acre, and it grew in very well, and I didn't have any problems with germination or anything. Big boy coming around licking on my boots. And so I do need to get this all situated. I'm gonna be doing that tomorrow. Instead of taking animals to the sale barn, I'll be getting my grass situated tomorrow. And then it's supposed to rain on Wednesday. But I'm still looking for some hay. I want to put some hay away. I told myself this year, my major focus over these next 6 months is I'm going to look to make myself $70,000. If I make myself $70,000 and I take, let's say, well, I told myself, you know what, if I really wanted to, I sat there and I crunched the numbers, and if I really wanted to, I could honestly probably do about 100,000 over the next 6 months. If I really wanted to, I probably could do 100,000. I've got enough money from the bank. I really only need I mean, I'll have to see. If I don't get accepted for my second line of loans, I'll have to go and apply for more loans. But if I can get myself 50,000, right, 50,000 in loans, I could probably make myself $100,000 over the next 6 months. And then if I pay half of that back to the bank, I still keep 50,000, right? It's not, I mean, it's still a very good deal for me. I would still rather, if I could borrow money, if I could borrow 50 grand and I can make it into 100, I would just go and borrow the money, right? And so if the bank, well, I gotta see the bank. I'm gonna know tomorrow whether my second line of loans went through. My first line of loans already went through. And so, yep, I'll honestly probably have to even go and find myself a third line of loans. But if I can find myself a third line of loans and open up 50,000 in credit, I could probably make myself $100,000 in 6 months. But the major, well, I mean, it's not even going to be impossible. It's going to be difficult, but it won't be impossible. And so I can do it. I can do it. I just got to really set myself to it. I got to get this grass growing ASAP. I got to get this grass growing. And if I'm going to go for, like, if I'm going to raise if I'm going to make myself $100,000, I need to operate a little bit differently. I need to formulate a new plan, right? Because if I'm going to make $100,000, it's going to be different than if I'm trying to make 50,000, or if I'm trying to make 75,000. It's going to be different, right? I know that if I'm going to raise $100,000 worth of animals, well, I'm going to get them all branded. I'm going to brand all my animals. And so I know what my animals look like. I won't have to, I'm going to get them all branded. And I'm going to need to put a large stockpile of hay away. Even if it's just corn stalks, if I need to put corn stalks away, and then probably need to put a truckload of distiller grains away. I need to get my shipping container filled with grain. I need to get the other half of it filled with grain, and I need to stockpile a lot of inventory. Because if I'm going to run $100,000 worth of animals, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I have an emergency, where I'm like, oh man, my animals are going to start starving if I don't find some hay, because then I'm going to pay an arm and a leg for hay. I want to stockpile that stuff while it's cheap. Well, I was taking a look at corn futures this morning. We probably are at the bottom of the corn market as of right now. Over the next few months, the corn market will probably go higher. Feeder cattle has actually gone negative for the first time in a long while. Feeder cattle dropped by about $10 over the last week or so. Feeder cattle went from like $265 to like $250 over the last 2 weeks. And so feeder cattle actually went negative for the first time in a while. But I was looking at feeder cattle futures, and they're saying that this October is probably going to be the bottom of the feeder cattle market. And I think that that's accurate too. So this October, it's going to be the bottom of the feeder cattle market. And then over the next few months, it is going to likely go up. Corn prices are likely going to go up. We are likely at the bottom of the corn market. The corn futures, that's what the corn futures are saying. And I think that things are accurate. If I were to see the feeder cattle market go down, I would think that the feeder cattle futures would show it. Unless there was something that is like drastically, like the economy just implodes in some fashion, the feeder cattle futures, excuse me, will probably show that there will be a negative trend in the feeder cattle market. And so as of right now, I do believe the futures markets are accurate. The corn market is probably at its bottom. We've had the first negative sort of month, I guess, in the feeder cattle market in a long time, in probably like 15 months. Like 12-15 months, something like that. It ain't been negative, and it's like $15 negative this month. And so feeder cattle markets are supposed, or the futures are saying that they're supposed to go just about sideways over October. So we're not really supposed to see much gain over October, and that kind of makes sense. The corn market is starting to bottom and starting to climb. October is not a very good month for bringing in new cattle and for purchasing a whole bunch of cattle. So yeah, we'll have to see, but I think that the futures markets are accurate. If anything, the feeder cattle market is probably only going to inch higher. We're probably not going to be on this skyward trajectory in the feeder cattle market anymore. If it does go higher, it will probably just inch higher. It probably won't go skyrocketing. Corn prices are probably at their bottom. The only thing that would really change the markets is if there was some kind of an economic implosion, like if something really fundamentally went wrong with the U.S. economy, or with the global economy, excuse me, not even the U.S. economy. If something went wrong horribly with the global economy, I mean, it could cause the feeder cattle market. It could cause a drastic change in the futures of the commodities markets. But unless that happens, the futures markets are probably accurate. That is what I think. And so that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.